What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Roman's Creative Academy. As always, I'm Jay.
And I'm Mike.
And if you haven't heard the news, I am now a Scarpa.
Yes!
And I wear a ring.
So it's happy to be back with you guys. We have a lot going on. That's why we've been a little bit MIA, but we're here. Trust us.
Welcome to 2025. We took a little hiatus. We had to get married. We took a little time off, enjoyed each other's presence, and enjoyed the family with the holidays. But we started the new year before the new year even started, and there's a lot of things that we want to go over with you.
Yep. So in this video, what we're really going to talk to you guys about is 2025 and what our predictions are. You guys know that our specialty is creative financing. So we're going to talk about how last year went and what we started to see towards the end of the year, and then what we're predicting for 2025. And again, there's no guarantee these things are going to happen. It's just things that we've seen in the market as a whole.
If we could predict the future, our life would be a little bit different.
A little bit, very different, okay? So let's start off with how was 2024 and what did we see? Because we've been in this for quite some time now.
Yep.
And I'll be the first to say that 2024 was the hardest year that we've had since we started.
Yep. We had to when we talk about hard for the year, right? It's not, we weren't able to do deals. No, we were, but we had to get so outside the box sometimes where we never had to before. Whether it came to deal structure, whether it came to dispositions, whether it came to how we approach the deal.
Marketing, okay?
Our
Marketing, our leads. We used to have and we still have a ton of leads coming in, but we saw it dwindle and we had to be different,
and
right?
Pivot.
We had to be different than everyone else that's doing the same thing over and over again. And we've taught our students how to do this and they've been rocking it. So with that being said, like I said, 2024 was the hardest point because so many people were also getting into the creative financing space and completely doing it wrong, which is going to lead into our predictions for 2025. But let me just stop there. Mike, what did you see in the market with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So never before in my life had I called sellers and talked to them and pitched them, about what not creative financing. We call it seller finance. We keep it very basic, right? But whenever I would bring that up, they're like, oh yeah, I actually had a few offers, right? And these are even people who had their house on the market. And some of these sellers were totally turned off by it because people were coming in having no clue truly what they're offering to these people, right? And totally botching their explanation on it. Now the seller has bad taste in their mouth, and it makes it even harder for Jay, myself, our team to get them over the hump. So now we have to go on a totally different explanation journey with these sellers.
But not even that, Mike. Like, there were so many instances that I would hear you on the phone and the person would say, well, this person said that they could give me a $15,000 down payment instead of what you're offering at 10. And so at that point, your sales has to be on point to get them to realize, like, hey, this really doesn't make sense, which you do a great job of.
Yep. In the past, it used to be all numbers based, right? You talk with a seller and you build rapport, but with creative financing, what it comes down to is asking the seller what they're looking for. Well, because everybody in 2024 was in a financial bind, like everybody. No matter if you had a lot of money or a little money, everybody was feeling it in some sort of way. So these sellers in this past 12 months were, and still are, very money motivated, right? They have motivation for other reasons, but majority of the time it's money motivation. So if you have somebody offering the same thing as myself, but they are offering a little bit more of a down payment, maybe for that person, that buyer, it works, but we have to stay true to our numbers. Right? So that's what was making it more difficult, is we now had to tap into the emotions with the sellers way more than we ever had to before and truly show them who we are and what we're all about so they could connect with us as people.
And Mike hit it right on the head right there. And I'm going to give you a little diamond that a lot of people don't, from the operations side, that a lot of people don't think about, that we do really well and our students do amazing at is getting freaking seller reviews, right? There have been so many times where a seller comes to us and says, I only want to work with you. Just the other day, we had someone say, hey, I love your mission statement, and this is the reason why I want to work with you.
The guy reached out to us and he said, the only reason I clicked on your ad, he said, I have about 6 offers on the table. I actually have some of the same offers as what you're asking. But when I saw your reviews and I saw what you and Jay stand for as a company and that you help people, even after you buy the home, you help people achieve home ownership. He goes, I only want to work with somebody like that. This house is something that means a lot to me, and it's very hard for me to let go. So I wanted to go to somebody like you and your wife who aren't just going to treat it like another object.
So all in all, with the creative financing predictions, right? That is what we saw in 2024. Now, let's take a look in 2024 of a holistic view and why it was hard for people who maybe didn't use the creative financing strategies or who wanted to get in it but were too afraid to, right? And didn't have the support system like our community. That's okay. But we know that you too struggled in the 2024 market, right? As everyone was freaking talking about the interest rates, right? The interest rates didn't allow people to right? To refinance out because, like, hello, you're paying all this interest, right?
And your payments are through the roof. On top of that, right, inflation was skyrocketing. So now sellers, they feel as if they can't go anywhere. They're stuck in this cycle. They can't go and buy a new house because they can't afford it. They also have no money to even think about it because they're living paycheck, paycheck, or day to day, right? And then on top of that, it was an election year. We're not going to get into politics, and your political view does not matter. But in the cycle of real estate and entrepreneurship and businesses, every time there's an election year, the months leading up to it and some of the months coming off of the election are extremely hard for businesses. Just like a crab. You ever see a crab? It buries in the sand, right? And it takes cover. That's what everybody was doing. Buyers and sellers in the investing side and on the retail side.
And not only that, because that was happening, there was so little inventory. We had so many of our buyers with units, hundreds of units, or even flippers that do a handful or more of flips a year, just saying like, Mike, Jay, what do you have in your pipeline? I need something, right?
Yep. For the investor side, right, it was very much slim pickings for a lot of the investors out there, right? And because there was such little inventory and sellers were burying their head in the sand, our competition for the leads that we were working on, yes, even though we do our marketing very different than most other companies, people were still getting hit from all angles, the sellers. So, every time I talked to a seller recently, they got 6 offers on the table. So what is going to make us stand out? So for 2025, our predictions for the market in general for investors, right? Interest rates aren't projected to drop tremendously. Home prices are only expected to go up on the retail side, right? But what people don't talk about for the predictions of 2025 is consumer behavior, a seller, right? For us, we deal direct to seller. We're not going on the market and buying properties. For us, our sellers, as we see it right now, as we get through this election period and it simmers down, we do see that our sellers, and we predict that our sellers are going to start loosening up and our sellers are going to be more eager to sell and move on. And we've already seen it happening.
And pretty inclined to creative solutions.
Correct.
They have been so much more open because they are in need, right? And this inflation has really taken a toll on them where they're like, I need out. And we don't prey on people who obviously have problems. We love to help them, right, to get to their next phase.
The bigger problem you solve, the bigger your paycheck will be, and the more rewarding it will be because you help that seller out of a problem. Every business, the only reason somebody starts a business is to solve a need, right?
Yep.
And that's what we do.
Now, this isn't to tell you guys, like, go do creative, right, without guidance, without attorneys, without transaction coordinators. Here's what we predict. People are going to think that they can just do creative financing based on videos they see, right? But it's much more complex than that. And they're going to ruin it for everyone else if they haven't done so already, if that hasn't started already, which means banks are going to crack down.
Yep. And just to give you guys an idea, right? Because we do this for a living and we are obviously experts in the creative finance field, we have a lot of connections with people in the space as well that have been doing it way longer than we've probably even been alive, right? And what we've seen and what they have seen is that the default rate on people who are buying properties subject to the existing mortgage or taking over people's payments on their behalf has 4x'd in the past 3 to 4 months. Meaning that people who are buying creative deals are not caring about the sellers, causing those loans to go into default because they decide to not pay the mortgage, hurting the seller, now hurting the market and making foreclosure rates go up. What does that mean? Just like Jay said, that means that if this continues to happen because of poor advice, poor guidance, poor leadership, and poor ethics, creative financing and banks will get extremely regulated in the coming months or maybe even years.
Let's be real. We're adults that need to be financially savvy even when we purchase creative financing freaking deals. Don't be a broke bitch buying other people's problems.
Yep, exactly. And then on top of that, what we've seen in the market is that people are who have no money are being told to go get a property under contract, take over their payments, and then for money that you don't have to purchase the house, go and borrow more money on top of that from another individual, and then nobody gets paid back. We've seen it where the private lender is getting, we've just got a text the other day, literally, where somebody asked, do you know this person? This was my first deal where I lent as a private money lender and never heard back from them again. They bought the property creatively. They borrowed the entry fee from a private money lender. It's been a couple months and then they haven't even made payments on nothing. And they go ghost.
If you have never done private money lending and you're lending 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 out without collateral, there is something wrong. Okay?
And that's what's taught in the market.
And if you don't know what that means, you need to research more. Okay? So just a burst of the bubble there.
And the predictions that we're predicting here is just like Jay said, that the old school seller financing is always going to be around. The seller's just acting as the bank. But the creative deals where you're taking over people's mortgage payments, that we have seen and have heard and have proof that mortgage companies and mortgage service companies are going and now auditing title companies around the country. It's not all over the place, but it is happening, and auditing them to see what type of subject to transactions they have completed and if it was done a proper way, or if they have done it, maybe they're going to get fined, right? There's certain things that are now coming up in play, meaning that you always need to be ahead of the curve, right? If this gets regulated, what's your next move? What's your next pivot, right?
And then last but not least, obviously banks are not stupid. They're going to start putting provisions in their paperwork that you can't do sub to unless you do X, Y, and Z. So this isn't to scare you guys. Like always, we like to keep it real with you guys in our market and what we do, but that doesn't stop us from helping sellers that absolutely need help, right?
And we're in today's market, in last year's market, and the year before that market, we're still buying real estate. We bought almost $1 million worth of real estate this year alone, none of which had over a 3% interest rate on it, right? So the deals are there. They're just, you now really need to be skilled at what you're doing. It's not like 2020 and 2021 where you can pop on your shoes and put on your jacket and go in the market and sell a deal. Buyers are more conservative, just like they were before the pandemic, and sellers are hunkering down, and you need to be, as an investor, more creative, more skilled, and more insightful on how to make these things happen.
With that being said, we're going to end the video here, but we wanted to take a second to invite you guys to a free webinar that's coming up February 27th. So take a look at the link below. This is going to be Deal or No Deal Creative Financing Edition, okay? So is it a deal or is it not a deal?
We're going to be doing screen sharing. We're going to be breaking down live deals, actual deals that we've done, deals that we see in the market right now, and we're going to break them down real time and let the numbers talk and tell you exactly why it does work or it's a no deal.
This is going to be an interactive one, so make sure you're available. And if you can't make it, still sign up because you will get the recording to it. So
if you can come, bring a pen, bring a paper, bring your questions, and get ready to do some analyzing.
We're going to be so excited to see you guys there, and we'll see you next week on another video. See you guys.